yeah, everybody's like, it's getting cutthroat out here. People are robbing each other, stealing from one another. You know, instead of helping each other out, we're doing the exact opposite and kicking somebody when they're down, just like us.
Drove by me. I was sitting at the bus stop eating pizza, and he started calling me a whore and a bitch, and I didn't even know it was him. And it hurt me so bad that when I ran into you to do the video, I wanted to lie about everything. I didn't want, just in case, you know, if he saw it or somebody else in my family, I didn't want them to really know the full.
America, the land long celebrated for limitless opportunity and the promise of freedom, still glows brightly in the world's imagination. Yet beneath that polished image lie countless untold stories buried in silence. I've lived through enough harsh seasons to speak honestly about the truth hiding behind that shine. Why are so many women, often with their children beside them, left to battle the streets alone, exposed to danger, stripped of dignity, and forgotten by the very society they trusted? Homelessness among women is not just the loss of a roof. It's a reflection of the deep fractures in our social systems, cracks wide enough for the most vulnerable to fall straight through. We hear statistics all the time, but do we truly understand the human pain beneath those numbers? These women aren't simply unfortunate. They're survivors, escaping violent homes, fighting poverty, coping with addiction, yet denied the support they desperately need. How can a nation that prides itself on compassion and opportunity allow this silent crisis to grow? In the so-called land of opportunity, women make up roughly 85% of homeless families with children, a heartbreaking reality in the growing crisis of the homeless in America. These are mothers, the pillars of households, left to face humiliation and danger in full view of the world. This is not just a housing issue. It's a wound carved by gender inequality, where wage gaps, domestic violence, and rising living costs push women toward the edge. In this essay, we'll move past the statistics and uncover the real faces and stories behind them, from young mothers sleeping in parking lots to aging veterans with nowhere to turn. We'll examine root causes, from skyrocketing rents to the breakdown of post-COVID safety nets, searching for real solutions, not political slogans. But before we begin, ask yourself, if it were your wife, your mother, your daughter, would you turn away? Today, we start by confronting the truth. Only then can change begin. Alarming numbers and the forces pushing women into the abyss. According to the 2024 HUD report, more than 771,000 people experienced homelessness on a single January night, an 18% jump from 2023. Women made up 40% of them, over 308,000 individuals, despite representing only half the nation's adult population. This imbalance exposes major failures in how we support families. A staggering 85% of homeless families with children are led by single mothers. Many come from Black, Indigenous, Asian, or multiracial backgrounds, communities hit hardest by poverty and unstable housing. Most are between 25 and 40, raising kids in cars, temporary shelters, or dangerous streets. Since 2020, homelessness among women has surged 35%, fueled by rising rents, mass evictions, and the end of COVID-era relief. More than 150,000 children now lack stable housing alongside their mothers. Domestic violence remains a major driver, responsible for 21% of cases. For many women, the choice isn't between comfort and hardship. It's between abuse or the streets. The battle becomes even harder with untreated mental health issues and the growing fentanyl epidemic. The truth is, housing alone won't solve this. These women need medical care, trauma support, mental health treatment, and community programs that help them rebuild. Because behind every statistic lives a story of resilience and the desire to begin again. Forgotten Women, the stories behind homeless lives. Let's pause for a moment and truly listen to two women fighting daily just to stay alive. Their stories aren't only about surviving the streets. They're about quiet courage, the search for hope, and the determination to keep going in a world that has turned away from them. Take Serenity, a 20-year-old pregnant woman living on the streets of San Diego. She speaks softly, her voice heavy with exhaustion. Being homeless is already brutal, she says, but being homeless and pregnant feels almost impossible. She's clean and sober, yet every day is a battle to find a safe place to sleep. Many shelters reject her because she's pregnant, citing safety concerns or limited space. She talks about how officers and officials offer no help, no matter how many times she asks.
But we catch on, and they, we see they don't want to take me because I'm pregnant, because I'm a liability, and if anything were to happen to me, that's on them. And then because I'm pregnant, it's more money out of their pockets, and they just still weren't able to help me at all whatsoever. And it's been maybe about 4 to 5 weeks, maybe 6 now. I don't really count anymore because it's just it just frustrates me more if I think about it.
Each day brings new fears: finding food, keeping warm, protecting what little she owns. She recalls leaving briefly, only to return and find her tent ransacked, her belongings gone. Serenity admits she sometimes uses drugs to avoid withdrawal. "I don't shoot up," she whispers. "I just smoke, just enough to get by." Behind those words is not rebellion, it's desperation. A mother trying to protect herself and her unborn child. More than anything, she wants to be acknowledged. She reminds us that people on the streets are not monsters. They're human beings with histories, hearts, and dreams.
She wasn't here, and I came back and all of my stuff was tossed up. My whole tent is messed up. It's ripped literally from the zipper. I can't even close it. There's holes in the floor. All my blankets are dirty. All my clothes were thrown everywhere, and some of my stuff is missing. And my other neighbor on the other side of me tried to blame the police on it. And I know it's not the police. The police are not going to come inside my tent like that.
By sharing her story, she hopes to keep others from slipping into the same darkness. A plea for understanding, not pity.
But we're human. We're human, and we all have things we go through too. And just because we're out here doesn't make us less of a person. So I hope people realize that.
Then there's Devin, a 28-year-old from New Jersey now living on the unforgiving streets of Kensington, Philadelphia. She's been there nearly 8 years, caught in a cycle born from trauma that grew into addiction. Hooked on heroin and fentanyl, Devin says being homeless feels easier than facing the pain she ran from. Every day is a fight to survive. She spends about $100 a day to maintain her addiction, money earned through what she calls dating, a word masking the reality of sex work. "You just do what you have to do," she murmurs. "There's no pride in it, only fatigue and fear." She has overdosed more than 30 times and somehow survived. Each time she wakes up, she's more afraid, knowing she cannot live like this forever. Yet, even in her darkest moments, a small spark remains. Devon dreams of getting clean, of entering a recovery program, of helping young girls understand their worth before they lose it to addiction. Her story and Serenity's reminds us that behind every tent, every shivering figure, every cautious step on America's streets, there is not just pain, but also a fragile ember of hope, refusing to die. These are the invisible Americans, the faces behind the crisis of the homeless in America, women who deserve not blame, but a chance to rise again. The main cause that led them down this path of suffering. Homeless women are not just numbers on a page. They are mothers, daughters, sisters, and survivors whose stories have been pushed aside for far too long. Behind every statistic is a face, a name, and a life that once carried big dreams. One of the most devastating drivers of women becoming homeless in America is domestic violence, responsible for nearly 1 in 5 cases. These women aren't simply leaving a bad situation, they're escaping for their lives. But how many have had to choose between staying with an abuser or sleeping on a sidewalk? This isn't just about losing housing, it's about losing safety, dignity, and any sense of peace. Another powerful force is the lack of affordable housing. As rents skyrocket, countless women, especially single mothers, are pushed into impossible decisions. Imagine a woman stretching every dollar, forced to decide whether to pay the rent, feed her child, or keep the lights on. How do we accept a society where a mother must choose between staying in a dangerous home or becoming homeless? These women carry enormous responsibility, yet are left with almost no support. Are we willing to admit we're ignoring this quiet injustice? The gender pay gap makes everything worse. Women are still often paid less than men for the same work, making it far harder to cover rent, food, or healthcare. When every paycheck comes up short, even basic costs can become unmanageable, and homelessness goes from distant fear to harsh reality. Then came the aftermath of COVID-19. As emergency aid dried up and social programs were cut back, many women were left stranded. Without rental help, childcare support, or crisis funding, how are they supposed to rebuild? How do they move forward when the system seems designed to push them back down? This isn't just a housing crisis, it's a crisis of humanity. Each cause points to a bigger truth. When a society fails to protect its women, it weakens itself at the core. The barriers and harsh realities faced by homeless women. When you look closer, you start to see the quiet strength of homeless women across the country. Lives lived in the margins, stories rarely heard. HUD's 2024 report shows that women now make up nearly 40% of the homeless in America, yet many still have no access to safe, stable shelter. A large share are middle-aged mothers trying to raise kids with almost no reliable support. Single mothers in particular carry the heaviest load. They make up most homeless families, leaving nearly 150,000 children growing up without stability, comfort, or security. This crisis is also deeply tied to race. Black, Latinx, and Indigenous women are far more likely to experience homelessness, revealing long-standing patterns of inequality and discrimination. Over 100,000 women live in chronic homelessness, facing not just harsh weather, but illness, disability, and a society that often refuses to look their way. Behind those figures are exhausted hearts. We talk about equality, but how equal can we be when so many mothers and daughters are fighting battles nobody wants to acknowledge? For women on the streets, safety is usually the first thing lost. They become easy targets for harassment and violence, especially those who sleep outside. Nearly 1 in 4 has fled an abusive home, only to encounter new dangers on the sidewalk. Domestic violence still accounts for about 21% of women's homelessness, yet shelters for women and children are far too few, their beds always full while the need keeps growing. Healthcare is another daily hurdle. More than half of homeless women have no regular doctor, delaying care until emergencies hit. Chronic illnesses, untreated trauma, reproductive health issues, and skipped prenatal care all pile up. Even getting basic hygiene products becomes a daily struggle, while many women are also coping with addiction or the scars of past abuse. And when help does show up, it's often thin and uneven. Programs for recovery, childcare, mental health, or job training are limited and hard to access. Women of color face added barriers of bias and neglect. The result is a cycle that gets harsher with time, lives slowly fading under the weight of systems that were supposed to protect them. But what if we stopped looking away? What if we invested in women-led shelters and support centers that heal body and spirit, offering not just a bed, but safety, respect, and trust? These struggles aren't accidents or bad luck. They're the outcomes of choices, priorities, and policies. And maybe by finally facing them head-on, we can begin to build a country where protection isn't a privilege for a few, but a promise kept to all. Solutions and policies to support homeless women, building a real path back to safety and stability. If we truly want to confront the crisis facing homeless women in America, we need more than cots and overnight shelters. We need long-term, thoughtful solutions that address both the visible and invisible roots of the problem, the social, economic, and emotional wounds that keep women trapped on the edge. This isn't just a housing problem. It's a reflection of how deeply our systems have failed the very women they were supposed to protect. Yes, there have been steps forward. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development has increased shelter capacity by 13%, and the HUD-VASH program has reduced veteran homelessness by about 8%. Those gains matter, but they're just a beginning. The addition of 435,000 affordable rental units by late 2024 is another positive move. But the real question is, will that be enough to match the rising need? And more importantly, will these homes actually reach the women who need them most, especially survivors of domestic violence? Or will they be swallowed by red tape and waiting lists? To bring real change, policy has to go deeper. We need stronger investment in permanent, supportive housing, specifically tailored for women and their children, not just short-term beds. Every woman deserves a safe, stable place to rebuild, free from fear and chaos. Support for survivors of abuse must sit at the center of this strategy, with trauma-informed mental health care, legal assistance, and life skills training that help women break free from cycles of violence and poverty for good. At the same time, prevention is just as important as rescue. Education and job creation must be treated as core tools in the fight against homelessness. Women, especially single mothers, need real opportunities to earn a living wage. Job training, career-focused education, tech and trade programs, and entrepreneurship support can open real doors to independence. When women have financial power, they have choices, and choices are the foundation of freedom. Nonprofits remain a lifeline in all of this. Organizations like the National Alliance to End Homelessness and local grassroots groups are on the front lines, offering shelter, counseling, legal help, and education. But as homelessness rises, we have to ask, are we giving these organizations what they need to keep up? Stronger funding, better coordination with cities and states, and real partnerships are essential if every woman seeking help is to actually find it. The fight against women's homelessness requires all of us, governments, communities, and individuals, working with urgency and compassion. Yes, there has been progress, but the numbers are still moving in the wrong direction, with an 18% jump in just a single year. If we don't act now, what hope do we have of reversing this trend? Can we even picture an America where every woman has a safe home, a future, and the dignity she deserves? In the end, it isn't only about policy, it's about how we choose to see. Why, in one of the richest nations on earth, do we still accept a reality where mothers, caregivers, and workers sleep in cars, tents, and doorways? Real change begins when we stop viewing them as statistics and start recognizing them as human beings who have already survived more than most of us will ever know. Until we restore that empathy, no budget line or bill will ever be enough. Furthermore, the power of education and opportunity. At the heart of preventing more women from becoming homeless in America are two powerful tools: education and opportunity. For many women, especially those raising children on their own, the path out of homelessness begins with access to skills and jobs that can actually support a family. Vocational training, technical education, apprenticeships, and entrepreneurship programs do more than teach job skills. They open the door to financial independence, giving women the confidence, stability, and hope that no temporary shelter can offer on its own. When a woman learns how to earn and grow her income, she gains more than money. She gains a sense of control over her life and her future. Nonprofit organizations are crucial partners in this work. Groups like the National Alliance to End Homelessness and local community organizations provide housing support, counseling, job training, and educational resources. They often show up where larger systems fall short, offering compassion, guidance, and structure. But even these dedicated groups are stretched thin. As more women and families face eviction and housing loss, the demand for services grows faster than funding. The question becomes, can we truly reduce homelessness among women if the organizations doing the heavy lifting are constantly struggling to stay afloat? The road ahead demands a coordinated, long-term effort. While we've seen some progress, homelessness among women has still climbed by nearly 18% in recent years. Can we realistically slow or reverse that rise without stronger, more targeted action? Can we imagine an America where every woman has a safe place to call home, where she doesn't have to choose between rent, food, safety, or her own dignity? We have to confront the hard truth. In one of the wealthiest countries in the world, too many women who have given their energy, love, and labor to families and communities, are living without shelter, without security, and without support. Real change doesn't start only with legislation. It starts with how we think. We must challenge the stigma that paints homelessness as personal failure and instead see it as a signal of where our systems and priorities have fallen short. Homelessness is not a character flaw. It's a call for empathy, fairness, and justice. Until we change the way we see the most vulnerable among us, no policy will be strong enough to repair what's broken. Change begins with perspective and grows through how we choose to care.